Bonjour, and welcome to our next episode of Petroma Therapy. Our topic today is self-awareness, and you can see from our cover shot a photograph of a man looking through some prints at a Quay along the Seine River in Paris. And I took this photograph from a book that I have. It's a basic French reader that was, I'm looking at it, it's published in 1964, and it's kind of got a retro feel to it. How did you feel when you saw the cover shot we chose?
I felt it took me back in time, 30 or 40 years maybe, when men were men and women were women. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
It was a previous time, like before the dinosaurs or before Christ.
From different timeline. But I felt good. The good vibes came from this picture, and I absolutely agree that we are to use it in our new episode as thumbnail.
Well, one of the things I noticed when I was looking at it a little bit more carefully was that the men, I guess in the 60s, mid-60s, which would be the time of the civil rights movement and all that stuff going on in the United States, men were wearing skinny suits and thin ties. And I thought, well, how fashionable it looks. And I think I've seen that look here in Dallas, here in 2022. Have you noticed anything about suits or ties?
Yeah, I told you before that thin ties are back in fashion. Everybody wears them again, and also thin suits. But do you remember? What style I like? Do you remember that? Not boogie woogie dancers, but Bianca and I don't remember his name. Bianca and two dancers.
Mick Jagger.
No, Bianca and two dancers. There are lots of video on YouTube, and they open some kind of dance open festival, and they beautifully dance. But not the boogie woogie again. Was it? Don't know.
Wait a minute. Wait. The video is a modern video, or it's a video from the 60s?
The modern video, but the dance is from the 60s, and they dressed.
So it could be,
they dressed accordingly.
Like when they were in these discotheques and they were in these little cages. They would dance in these little cages, and they'd have dresses on that had glitter, or it had feathers, or it had
let me open the YouTube.
Go-Go Girls.
Let me open the YouTube. You'll understand when I name it, because I absolutely sure you saw it before. Rock and roll, maybe? No, hold on.
No, the dance is not called rock and roll.
No, rock and roll is Bianca, and I don't remember. The name is Bianca. The woman name was Bianca. What was his name?
While you're finding that, I'm going to say that it seems like there's many ways in which we're self-conscious, self-aware.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Champions Cup, Bianca and Niels, and.
Oh yeah. That is my thing. Those are my favorite swing dancers.
Yeah, but what's the dance? What's the dance called? I don't remember. Boogie woogie,
swing,
right? Swing.
They are famous for swing, SWING, and boogie woogie, and they're also Lindy Hop. They are a dance team that I really, really like, and there's several videos that I like. One, they're dancing to a Jackson Browne song called "Stay Just a Little Bit Longer." Da 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 da. Yeah, they're great dancers, and that time period has come back again. There are some different dance studios here in Dallas where a lot of young people, and also just people of different ages, are taking swing and boogie woogie classes, and I guess we're kind of in a retro flip.
Yeah, and the male dancers in this video, they always wear those clothes from the 60s, I guess, because the boogie woogie originated half a century ago, and I like the style they had. But fashion never stops. So that's what I kind of thought when I saw the thumbnail you sent.
Well, that's good. Also, you know, the little tiny prints are popular on shirts, and I just notice in Dallas people are very conscious about what they wear because people have they have enough money to have leisure time to go sit at the bars and the patios, and they people watch. They watch the cars go by, they watch the motorcycles go by. There's several different well, they're not boulevards like they would be called boulevard in Paris, but here they're just avenue. Like Greenville Avenue has a lot of different trendy bars and clubs and little art studios, and you can just go and you sit there and you watch Corvettes go by and Lamborghinis and Vespas and very stylish people, and people are wearing boots or they're wearing high heels or guys are wearing motorcycle jackets. So I think clothes is the clothes we choose, the hairstyles we choose is part of the way some people are consciously projecting something into the world, you know?
I apologize. Is self-consciousness and self-awareness are the same thing?
Well, let's not get into a rabbit hole.
Really? Well, I think we should, because I don't understand the world.
You're always in the rabbit hole.
I don't understand the world, and if I am not self-aware, does that make me self-aware?
Well, just wait a minute.
Okay.
Escúchame.
Bueno.
First of all, we have to take the word self, and let's just work with the word self. So for some people, the self is located in the ego. So if you're a Freudian, you've got id, ego, superego, or if you're a Jungian. So if we discuss where the self is located, if you're ego conscious and you want to look good, or, you know, in the eyes of society, you want to wear the best shoes, you want to wear the cute watch, then that is where the self is located. So I think the focus on self will keep us out of the rabbit hole. Because you always want to go into conscious, unconscious, conscious. So the word conscience, conscience, means with knowledge. Conscience. That means our moral compass, knowing right from wrong, is located in our conscience. But our consciousness is just our awareness of being, like the awareness that you are thinking. Like I think, therefore I am. Descartes.
You said rabbit holes. You said rabbit holes. Sorry.
Just say it a little more slowly.
You said rabbit hole twice. What does that mean? The devil's trap?
No, it's not. It's in the world of Lewis Carroll, The Adventures of Alice in Wonderland. She goes on an exploration and she sees a little rabbit running by. So like an idea goes across, Petroma therapy. And you are the rabbit. You always want to go down the rabbit hole and see what's there. So in The Adventures of Alice in Wonderland, written by Lewis Carroll, Alice goes to follow the rabbit, and they go into this whole world of the Mad Hatter and the Tea Party and the House of Cards, and then the giant caterpillar smoking the hookah. So to go down the rabbit hole means to sort of fall into a different world. And because you're very smart and you've read a lot and you've lived and you've thought about life a lot, you are right there on the rabbit hole most of the time.
Alice in Wonderland, I have lots of mixed feelings about these books. That's one of those books, and there are a few, just 5 or 6, which I don't understand completely. I don't understand the fascination people have about them, the philosophy behind them, and it makes me scared. The book makes me scared. I don't know why, for no particular reason. Especially
it's pretty frightening. I mean, Gracie Slick made a song, White Rabbit, which was about taking drugs in the 60s. Like one pill makes you taller, one pill makes you smaller. So it's about the effects of drugs. But back to Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll was also a photographer, and he liked to photograph prepubescent girls. So they were not yet, they were like,
illegal.
10, 11, 12, 13 years old. So he was this was a fellow who liked to photograph little girls. And the story of the Adventures of Alice in Wonderland was actually based on a specific fascination he had with this one girl. So you might be in a good spot to be afraid of the Adventures of Alice in Wonderland. But it's what are we talking about? Self-consciousness, self-awareness. Yeah. So self-awareness just means that you, the self, is reflecting on something. Like before I go out into Dallas, I decide, okay, what am I going to wear? Okay, does this match? Okay, I need a hat. What hat do I want? These shoes hurt my feet. I'm not going to wear those. So you make these different choices. So that's being self-aware. Like I'm just aware of what I'm going to wear. But self-consciousness to me is like meditative brooding. Like a lot of Russian literature has these characters or narrators who are like thinking about what they've done, and then thinking about thinking, and then thinking about thinking about thinking, and they just never leave the room.
Yeah, they effectively torture themselves and the reader. Yeah, I remember you told me once that Russia, they have tortured Saul. Or maybe that's exactly the self-awareness consequences. Or
yes, and I may have been Russian in my past life. I have taken on the pseudonym of Natasha. I like it.
Well,
but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm in therapy.
Is it good or bad? Self-awareness. Something. Sometimes maybe it's better not to be aware, right?
Okay. Well, the thing is, we can't. Part of being human is to be aware. We're aware that we did something wrong. We're aware that we had too many drinks. We're aware that we want to buy this expensive watch or whatever. So part of the conundrum of being a human is the gift and the burden of awareness. It's not good or bad. It just is. We should write that down. That sounds really good.
You ever tried meditation? I guess meditation is considered to be the cure against this self-aware anxiety. I really don't.
Well, there is this one this parish I belong to here in Dallas, Holy Trinity, which has a lot of kind of hip progressive things going on, and they had this one meditation group based on the philosophy of Thomas Keating, who was a monk who, I don't know, his book is called Open Mind, Open Heart. So, for example, the centering prayer is what it's called. So you arrive at your group, and I used to go to one that was like 7 p.m. And you arrive there, and then you sit in a circle in chairs, and you put your purse or your whatever backpack down, and you sit there, and you just kind of try to be quiet. Then there's a leader who just asks you to focus on your breathing, and then everybody chooses a word, but they don't tell anybody what their word is. So maybe my word would be now, or maybe my word would be Jesus, or maybe my word would be time. So everybody chooses a word. They don't tell anyone. And the leader of the group suggests that we focus on our breathing, focus on our word, and that as our mind begins to jump around, which would be called the monkey mind jumping around, that we just bring our consciousness back to our word or back to our breathing. And you do that for about, I don't know, like about 5 minutes, and it seems so long. 5 minutes seems so long, especially when you're aware that you're waiting for the leader to ring a bell, which means the 5 minutes is over. Like, I would sometimes feel like I'm just like escaping from a prison. But yeah, they had this, it's called centering prayer, and that was, it was just a group. I mean, you didn't have to belong to Holy Trinity. People would come from other walks of life and just, meet up there. And then they would have other places in the city where centering prayer groups met. But I met this one person in the group who was super, super good at meditation. He was like kind of like a genius. And then I talked to him later in some other context, and, he had to admit to me that he's fascinated by war games and the Vietnam War and violence and murder. So I don't know how far meditation took him to finding a peaceful life. But have you ever tried meditation?
No, not exactly, because meditation somehow, when you say meditation, everybody thinks you sit still for an hour or so. But then again, Alan Watts, which I told you about, who I'm told you about, I used to listen to his lectures all the time. He said that it's not necessarily the fact that meditation should be just a sitting
Right.
in
Could be
silence.
moving,
You could
like
be doing
washing the
anything
dishes. Yeah.
as long
Yeah.
as you turn off, as I understand. As long as I turn off my lizard brain. You said monkey mind. I thought, no, mine is lizard brain, which is way worse, I guess. And I'm trying to shut it down. Exactly. Well, I told you when I went to gym, not because I want to fit to look better or to look fit, but rather for my psycho state. Or what do you say that?
So yeah. So would you do like the treadmill, or would you lift weights, or
anything.
what would
You
be the
just
specific activity you would do that's to still the monkey mind?
exactly lizard brain.
Lizard brain.
It's much larger than monkey mind and much dangerous. I think much stronger. And I had to shut it down now and then, but it still guides me, and I can't. It's probably in my subconscious, or I don't know, coded in somewhere, and it's really really hard. But since then I understood that when you in gym I used to, I don't remember the barbell, not the barbell. Yeah, the barbell. I don't remember the exercises with the barbell.
Weights.
You lift weights and you somehow feel yourself aligned with the world how it should be. There is no anxiety. That's the point. The lizard brain goes. I don't know where it goes, but it sleeps at the moment.
No, it's very, very interesting. In that centering prayer group that I was in, there was a fellow who came to the group who had some kind of physical disability, or like shaking hand, like his hands would shake, and he had a strange walk. But when he was in the meditative state, all that would stop. And then when the little meditation was over, he would go back to, his hands would like shake. But I have a couple friends that go to the gym, and some people like to do cardio, like they just like to be on the treadmill and just see how far they can go, but that becomes more competitive. And then I have some other friends that I know that go to the gym, they just like to lift weights, because when they're lifting weights, this one person said he feels like he's at one with his body.
My point exactly. Cardio didn't work for me. I don't know why, but lifting weights made wonders. And when pandemic struck, I stopped going into the gym, and I feel that I need it. But then again, there are multiple circumstances. I can't go back, and but maybe I will one day. And I absolutely in love with lifting weights. And that meditative state which you mentioned, and which Alan Watts said that it is possible to reach that state without sitting in silence for 24 hours. I like it a lot.
The other thing is that I think most people think of it as like sitting for an hour, but I can tell you this 5-minute meditation of trying, like what you do is you set your clock or a watch or something, or like set your phone to a bell sound, like a Tibetan bell sound. Set your watch, and then just sit in a comfortable chair with a little bit of, not blacked out, but like a dim light, a low light, and just try. There's a bell that starts it, and then there's a bell that ends it, and just set the timer for 5 minutes, and just see if you can do 5 minutes. That 5 minutes is really quite the challenge, because you're aware of all these thoughts that come in and out. Now, there's another fellow named Thich Nhat Hanh, who has a meditation village in France. It's called Plum Village, and people come there from around the world for a 1-day retreat or a 2-hour meditation. They come and they work. But Plum Village is a place dedicated to mind-body wholeness. And one of the things I learned from reading Alan Watts and also Thich Nhat Hanh that, for example, you don't have to be a monk in a monastery. You could be a woman at home washing your dishes, but you wash the dishes with awareness and not thinking of the 10 other things you got to do after you wash the dishes. So for a while, I was doing washing the dishes meditation. It's challenging. The only thing you do is you feel the water on your hands, you feel the sponge. You just try to stay in the moment. It's actually quite difficult to do.
Yeah, I'm also. It is very difficult. It's very difficult. How strange that sounds. I also my not the second, but I you ever heard of Terence McKenzie? If I'm not mistaken, his name was. He used psychedelics to get meditative state, but I never tried, of course. But and I think that maybe because it's very hard. Some people use psychedelics to reach that state because otherwise it would take him 20 years. And here he can do it in 1 hour, for instance. But he needed.
Well, you know that there was a movement called Transcendental Meditation, and the Beatles, especially George Harrison, followed this Maharishi Mahesh Yoga or something was his name, the Maharishi. And they followed him on some retreats, and they were doing meditation, they were doing drugs. The song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, some people say is about an LSD trip. But yeah, gosh, I feel tired. How are you feeling physically right now?
Physically, I'm okay. I think the more of a concern to me is my not the spiritual state, but well, you talk about antidepressants you took against what? Against anxiety, right? You take the antidepressant not to be depressed or anxious.
Okay, well, anxiety is one thing, and depression is something else. So
are they different from each other? Because I feel like depression is, I think, very much the same as anxiety, but I may be mistaken.
No. Okay, wait a minute. First of all, you're Russian, and you have a tortured soul. So that's the bottom line of everything. You must look in the mirror and say, "I am Russian."
I like it. I like that expression, tortured soul. Although that applies
I'm just saying, culturally, and also you're a deep thinker, and I sometimes wonder, like, well, I've read all this stuff and I've experienced a lot of different things. Like, why am I not happier? And then I just have to look in the mirror and say, well, I'm Texan. I live in Texas, but I want to be in France, or I want to be in St. Petersburg, or I want to be in London. I want to be in Paris, and then I can go forth and do my day because I think that your culture in which you're raised, the experiences you have, the family that you're raised into, those are some predisposed situations. And a pill, a lot of people take anti-anxiety because they're worried about the future and they have heart palpitations and stuff like that. Anxiety is fear about the future, and that's when everything's speeded up. Like you say, you have the lizard brain. That sounds like it would go with lizard brain, but I don't know what they're called now, but like Quaaludes, they used to be called in the 60s. Quaaludes slow everything down. So you don't need to be speeded up. You need to be slowed down, or what do you need?
Yeah, I need to go to that state when you have peace of mind. Slowed probably down. I don't know if it qualifies as an answer, but when you have peace of mind, you have it, and then it goes away, and anxiety and depression comes back, and you try not to take alcohol, not to take any pills.
Okay, but see, yeah, I also am not big into pills. I have a low thyroid function, so I have to take this thyroid pill. I've taken it for some years. It's a low dosage, but it just the thyroid regulates your metabolism, and both men and women, I think after about the age of 40, probably need to get their thyroid level checked to be sure that it's regulating the body correctly. Because if your thyroid levels are off, everything's screwed up.
I'm sure it's
but I mean, I tend to like not. Case. I don't like to have too many pills and things like that. I would much rather have a drink. I would much rather go have a really pretty glass that has some beautiful ice in it, and like you like to visit with Jack Daniels.
John.
I mean, don't you sometimes feel? Don't you, John? Don't you sometimes feel like just for a few moments you're like, oh, I had my glass. I'm sitting here in my chair. I'm looking out the window. It's all okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not nirvana, but it's momentarily okay.
And that's why I asked you if self-awareness is a bad thing or not. Because if I am aware that I'm not good I'm not good enough to up to some task, and I'm self-aware with that doesn't.
But see, that's self-criticism. Like that self-criticism comes from like, okay, well, like, Freud said the first part of our personality develop is our id. That's just our physical body instincts, a little baby. A little baby cries, it just because it needs attention. And then the next thing is the rules of society. That's the superego. The parents say, like, don't cry, okay, no, you have to wear this diaper, or like, okay, don't eat all the cookies now. So those are the rules of society. So the superego imposes rules on the id, and then the ego develops around adolescence, and the ego has to moderate the demands of the id with the rules of society. Like the id part of you or me might want to drink 2-3 margaritas or have a couple shots, but the superego says, no, you can't drink like this. You've got to drive and go home and like not have a wreck on the freeway. So, we exist in society where these rules are. And like, I never mix drinks. If I'm going to drink bourbon or whiskey, I'll just stay with that. Or if I'm going to drink tequila drink, I'll just stay with that. But there's some people, they'll do Fireball, which is like a cinnamon-based drink, and then they'll drink a shot of like Long Island. They'll have Long Island iced tea, and then they'll have something else, and like they're just like a wreck.
Well,
so I don't know. Like I'm down the rabbit hole now.
The problem with spirits is that they make you effectively ineffective for a while, and you have to stay focused, and that's why I'm trying to avoid spirits. Also, I use them. I like beer. I like Jack Daniels, as I told you. I like some cocktails with vodka and whiskey on the rocks, and bourbon and cognac. but I'm trying to stay away from them, because I understand that they do more damage than good. But then again,
but I mean, all things in moderation. In moderation, like some of the philosophers say, all things in moderation. So, if you have low impulse control, I would recommend Petroma therapy for you. Low impulse control. Like if I'm sitting and having like a really great sandwich or something, and I'm having a beer or a drink or something, then some other people come in and go, oh, hey, how are you? Hey, let's have another. I'll buy the next drink. Then it becomes this escalating series of events that could go on for hours. Like, I might just go this afternoon over to this one place to just have the sandwich that I like. It's like on Russian rye bread, and it has all this great meat and cheese and pickles and stuff in it. And I might not even get a drink, but then someone else might come in like, oh, hey, I owe you a drink. Let me buy you a beer. And then someone else comes in and says, oh, hello, hey, let's all go over here. Somebody, and then it just can become like 2-3 hours of day drinking, where people are just going between 2 to 3 bars drinking, and it's a social activity. It's a social activity. I'm drinking not because I need to have 3 drinks, but because, well, I like my friends, and that's fun. And somebody just opened up a new bar. It's only like 1 street away. Let's walk over there. I don't know.
Well, maybe it works in the U.S. because you can take 2 or 3 shots and go home. But I would say that in Russia, if you start drinking, you drink to excess, and if you do anything, you do it until the very, very end, and maybe that's the difference. But I am envious.
No,
I am
I hear
envious.
you. Like,
Hear
I
me?
don't know. I mean, I have this one friend who had some very tragic things happen to him, and then he was starting to try to date again, but he couldn't date because he was like drunk a lot. And I just met up with him. I go, hey, look, come on, like, you got to get your life together. He says, I can't. Everything's too extreme. And so I sat with him for a couple hours, and he just talked. But no, I hear you, and especially in the pandemic, a lot of people were just drinking a lot at home, just go buy a lot of liquor. Like the liquor stores during the pandemic were doing amazing business. People were not coming out with just, a couple cases. They were not just coming out with a couple 6-packs of beer. They were coming out with cases of vodka, cases of bourbon, cases of Jack Daniels. Like, it was crazy because there was nothing open. You just had to be at home.
We effectively doing ourselves, making ourselves in what the word again? Effectively doing stuff not unavailable. There was a word can't recall it. Don't remember. Sorry. But I was gonna say that we limit our abilities consciously.
Right, yeah, it's like self-defeating behavior. You're cutting your legs off.
Yeah, but we still know it. We know it, and we still do it. Like, we know it's wrong, but we still do it, and we know what's good, but we don't do it. As we discussed that before in Paradise, I guess there was such a philosophical question why we do this and not that, though we know we shouldn't. But then again, if you take a bottle of Jack Daniel and you're fine, you're not drunk, or you can withstand whatever amount of alcohol you take, but that's okay. But if you
tolerance level,
tolerance level. But if you destroy yourself, having all these cases of vodka, that's a different case.
I mean, there's some people that like to just like to drink and sit in a dark room and just drink and just be with their thoughts and just drink.
It's like Sherlock Holmes. Do you remember Sherlock Holmes? The detective from England, a fictional character, and I guess he was an opium. He was a cocaine addict or something, but at the same time he was very smart and intelligent individual. And so who can blame him for taking cocaine if he's contributing to this society the best he can, right? Well,
the same thing with Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe was a genius. Like, I really love the dark stories of Edgar Allan Poe, the mysteries and the murders and the poetry. And he was also a tortured soul. He was a tortured soul, and during his own lifetime, he was not even recognized as a great person, nor was Vincent van Gogh. But I know that I was up in Manhattan, and they had, I was going down this one street, and there was some little, was I in Manhattan or Boston and Philadelphia? I don't know where I was, maybe Manhattan. Yeah, and there was like a little sign that said Edgar Allan Poe rented a room here, and it was like a little mini museum that you could go in. It wasn't his house, but it was. But it had a table, it had a desk, it had like a very simple bed, it had it was kind of redecorated as if Poe was there, and it was kind of creepy, and but you could see where his genius came from his dark mind and tortured soul.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you this: as we're wrapping up the episode of self-awareness, self-consciousness, what would be 2 things that maybe you could think about doing since we've discussed all this? I'm thinking of maybe when I wash my dishes, try to do it with more awareness.
I am aware that I'm not self-aware of that for sure. But if you ask me for things to do, I would say I'd like to go back to gym, at least in my dreams for now. And that's the first one, and lift weights again. And the second would be, there is no second thing. I just.
No, that sounds good. I think one. I think one is going to be good for you.
Enough is enough, right?
No, what is good for you? And the other thing is that if you go to the gym and there's some other people doing things, it's a little more motivating than just getting some weights and, standing in your living room lifting the weights,
It's interesting. I don't need any other people in the gym. The less people, the better. I don't know why would some people want to see lots of other individuals making the exercise themselves to the limit. But no, I need only a barbell and myself and nobody else. I think 1 hour and I'm back on track. But yeah, that's just me, and I could be wrong.
Or you could be right. Okay, allons-y à la bibliothèque, which means let's go to the library. No, allons-y à la gymnasium. I don't know. Okay. Goodbye for now.
Peace and love, my friends, and I hope you find an answer to your search.